Okay, so today we're going to continue the discussion about the investing. Yesterday we looked at all the different types of investments that we could invest in, stocks and bonds, and what mutual funds were. But those mutual funds are going to be held within different accounts. And so what we're going to look at then is really retirement accounts. Maybe. There we go. Different types of retirement accounts. And to better understand this, I want to break it down into really what your three sources of income are when you're in retirement. In retirement, you will have Social Security benefits, you will have employer-provided retirement plans, and you will have your own individual investments, your own personal investments. Social Security really was designed as nothing more than a safety net. It wasn't really designed as a retirement plan for people. It's designed as a, well, like the name implies, a little social security. A lot of people retire with very little else other than Social Security, and it's enough to keep you just barely above the poverty level. The thing is, Social Security has also changed throughout its years. When it was first instituted in the early 30s, was it early 30s or late 30s? I'm forgetting. Anyway, when it was instituted in the 30s, the retirement age, I believe, was 57. Today, for you and me, if we want to get the full benefits, we'll have to retire at age 67. And that's possible that those dates will change and we'll have to work even longer. The reason being, people are living longer these days, and so government is going to go broke if it promises to pay people for such a long period of time. So it's possible we'll see some more changes with the Social Security, and it's really not what we want to count on for our retirement. Instead, we should have some investments. And over here, we've got just these regular accounts. If you want to put money in a mutual fund, go open an account. Go to Vanguard.com. Vanguard is a mutual fund company. Or go to American Funds, or go to any number of fund companies and open an account. It's that simple. It's like opening an account at a bank. You could also invest in annuities. You could also open an E-Trade account and be like the little baby and do some of your own cool things. All right. On the other side here, we have tax-advantaged plans. So plans that offer an advantage over these regular accounts. These regular accounts, if you earn a profit during the year, at the end of the year when you file your taxes in April, you pay taxes on that earnings. In these accounts, your money actually will grow tax-free, and you don't pay taxes on it until you start taking it out in retirement, except for the Roth ones, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Used to be that employers would typically offer just a traditional pension plan. Anybody have a stab at how a traditional pension plan would work? Anyone? I see your hand. Gentlemen in the back, turn your monitors off. Thank you. All right, Matt, go ahead.
Isn't it like where you put away some of your paycheck like each time you get it, and then once you retire they give you like a sum of money each month to live on?
It's kind of like that, yeah. With the traditional pension plan, it was really the employer managed all of that. So you might put some of your own money in it. The employer might put money into this pension plan, and that's actually the way all the teachers here, that's the way our retirement plan through Grand Rapids Christian Schools works. And what the traditional pension plan does is then when you retire, you will be paid a certain amount of money every year until the day you die. So it's kind of nice. You get this little guaranteed income. Anybody see any potential problems with that?
Maybe it's not very much money.
Maybe it's not very much money. That's very common. It might not be enough to retire on. Yeah, so you're counting on it, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is not as much as I expected. Any other problems you might see with it? what if the employer goes bankrupt? You worked all these years for ABC Corporation, and they promised you this pension, and then they go bankrupt the day after you retire. You might lose your retirement. And so that was kind of the big concern there. And so a lot of employers have kind of gone away from those traditional pension plans and offer 401ks or 403b or 457 plans. And they operate in some regards really similar to the pension plan in that I can put money in it, my employer might put money in it. And then within that 401k plan, though, I get to manage that money. So I get to put it in different mutual funds, and I get to choose how to invest it. And when I leave that company or when I retire, I have this account. Just like my bank account, I have an account, and it's got money in it. Or in this case, it's got mutual funds in it. So I own that, and if the company goes bankrupt, no big deal. But if I work for an employer that doesn't have one of these 401k plans, I can also set up my own individual retirement account, which operates, for the most part, the exact same as these other savings plans. So we've got all these different options, and there are a few other advantages to these employer-sponsored plans. You get pre-tax contributions. In the next slide, we'll look at what that really means. You often get matching contributions. So employers realize that saving is really important, and they want to encourage their employees to save. So how do they do that? The same way maybe your mom and dad did it when you were a kid. If you save $1, I'll put another $1 into your account for you. And employers will do this. So they might say, I will match all the money you put in your account up to 10% of your income. So if I save 10%, so I make $50,000, I save 10%, that'd be $5,000. They'll put another $5,000 in there. When you get into the workforce and you work for a company and they have a plan like this, always make sure you're getting all the matching money. If you're not, you are just leaving free money on the table. They are just giving you that money. So take advantage of that. One of the other things that I saw a lot of in my previous job was loans. You can take a loan against your 401k or against your 403b plan. So you've got this pile of money you've been saving up, and you're like, oh, I had an emergency, and I really need some money, and I don't want to borrow this money from the bank. Maybe my car broke down or got totaled, and I need to buy a new car. So rather than going to the bank and borrowing from them and then paying interest back to them, I'm like, oh, I'll take a loan out against my 401k and pay that interest back to myself. It's not really a good idea. In fact, it's a very bad idea. And part of the reason it's a bad idea is when you take that money out of the account because you loaned it to yourself, it's not being invested anymore. Probably the bigger reason, though, that it's a bad idea is back to the whole idea that finances really aren't about the numbers. Finances are really more about behavior. And I'll tell you what I hated and I saw all the time was somebody come in and be like, do I still have a loan on my 401k? So I pull up their account. I'm like, yep, looks like you do. And they're like, how much longer do I have for paying off that? And I'd be like, well, looks like you'll be done paying it next month. And they're like, sweet. Can I take another loan out then? I mean, that was 9 times out of 10 the response I got. Can I take another loan out? It's just a behavior thing. You get used to it. You're like, well, it's not that bad. I'll just keep taking a loan out. So we really need to focus on changing those behaviors. One of the things I said that you get is that tax break. Remember, the money sits in this 401k account, and instead of paying taxes on it every year after you made some earnings on it, it stays in the account. But you also get an upfront tax break in a traditional 401k or a traditional IRA. Take this for an example. Assuming a $1,500 biweekly salary. So I made $1,500. How many of you have had a job before where you get paid a paycheck from a pay stub? All right, Sam, you've seen it. I always at the top you see how much money you made, right? And then right next to it you see how much money the government took out, right? And then you get your amount that you actually got paid. So you might have made $500, but your check is only for $400. Because that's the government taking the money out. That's the taxes. Well, if we had a 25% tax rate and I earned $1,500, well, my check would be $1,125. Now, if I decided, man, I want to contribute, I don't know, $150 every paycheck. So I want to put in 10% of my pay into my retirement account. It actually only lowers my take-home pay by $113 because they're going to take this money out of that $1,500 before they take any taxes out. So I get a little bit of an upfront tax break. Now, the trade-off is that eventually when I start withdrawing my account in retirement, I'm going to have to pay some taxes on the money then. But up until then, I'm not going to pay any tax